Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I felt really called to do a channeled messages for all of you who might be dealing with difficult emotions or states at the moment. So what I want you to do is to first of all take a look at these three words here and see which one describes your situation or your emotion the most, or which one you just feel most called to, because sometimes those difficult emotions can be very subconscious and you might feel for a while quite good, and then boom, it hits you and you don't know where it comes from. But the truth is that it's there all the time. It's an energy in your body that you need to take a look at and that you need to release, so that you will have energy in your system to all of the great stuff in your life. So reading number one will be sadness. Reading number two is depression. And reading number three is anxiety. So you just pick 1, 2, or 3, and there will be timestamps in my description. But before I move on, I just want to show you something about alchemizing the difficult emotions. So when I prepare myself to these readings, I ask my higher self what the collective needs to know the most at the moment. And I don't know what is coming through, but there was such a clear message for me today to be the alchemist and the messenger that allows you to become the alchemist of these very difficult states and emotions. So this is true alchemy. So we have sadness here, came out with the message of growth. We have depression, it came out with a message of potential. And we have anxiety, that came out with a message of power. And I really love how my higher self was working with spirit to really alchemize and ask, what are these difficult collective emotions or feelings about, and how can we alchemize them? And before I dive into each separate reading, I also do want to say just a short note around what is the higher self, because I feel we hear this all the time. You tap into your higher self, ask your higher self, but a lot of people actually don't really know what is the higher self. It's a very known term with very little definition. So when I talk about channeled messages from my higher self or your higher self, I just basically mean the part of you that is still only soul. So there's part of you that is the wiser part of you, that is always existing around you and within you, that is based on a spiritual or soul level. And when you tap into that energy, you can have a lot of answers about direction in your life, what to do, what you need to look at, and so forth. So basically your higher self is just a consciousness and the awareness that is directly connected to your soul knowledge and your soul print, and the part of you that is never affected by your human ego. So you can also think of it like this, that it's the part of you that is never conflicted with anything, because it's just pure awareness, it just knows. But the thing is that when we have difficult emotions or stagnant energy or anxiety, depression or sadness in our system, it can be very difficult to tap into this higher consciousness, because what you need to be able to do is that you need to be able to put yourself in a state where you are calm and connected. And that is really, really difficult when you suffer from anxiety, for instance. So today I will help you to tap into that higher part of yourself that just knows how to alchemize the experience, emotion, situation, stagnant energy that you're going through in the moment, depending on which one of these three cards you felt the most, so to speak, called to pick. So yeah, I'm just gonna dive right into reading number one. Hello to every one of you who chose number one, sadness. And if you didn't listen to my introduction about the higher self and what the higher self is and about alchemy, I just want to show you, because I was tuning into the energies and I just strongly felt called to do this reading to help you alchemize the difficult emotions and stagnant energy in your body. So I asked the higher self and the universe, what is on the other side of this sadness? We have growth. The word growth for you guys in pile number one, so strong. I even need to take a deep breath, because right now it's very obvious that you don't see it and you don't understand, why am I having this sadness in my system, and I just feel down, I just feel like nothing is working in my favor. Maybe you lost someone, or yeah, it can be a lot of things that has caused the sadness. It doesn't have to be like a physical materialistic thing. It can also just be something that you feel in your system and in your emotion. And that I really feel guided to tell you as well that it is possible to alchemize sadness into growth in a very positive way. So I'm just gonna shuffle the cards and see. Wow, this just fell out immediately. Very interesting. We have the Emperor. So this might have to do with, the shadow side of the Emperor is that he can be very authoritative and very rigid and strong-headed and harsh. That's the shadow side. So in this situation, what I feel for you is that this sadness is caused by you being too harsh on yourself and judging yourself, for a lot of things. Like, it's almost like I get this image that you are sitting in the shadow of the Emperor and telling yourself that you didn't do good enough and you could have done otherwise, or you should have done this and this and this. And this is causing such a huge sadness in your system. So I'm just gonna dive right into it. So what messages for those of you who feel sadness? Please, Spirit, what messages? Oh, that's a lot, but I'm just gonna take it as a storyline. So we have the Queen of Cups, emotions, the Nine of Pentacles. Wow. We have the Five of Wands, and we have the Star. Wow, how beautiful is this? Can you see? This is what I channeled for you guys before. Like, this sadness will turn into growth. And for some reason I just felt called to paint a starry sky, and it comes out with the star, and I'm gonna tell you why. So this sadness that you feel at the moment is caused by you judging yourself too hard. It's like you have encountered the shadow sides, the dark sides of being self-sufficient and self-reliant to an extent where you might even isolate yourself, because you feel that I'm just doing everything by myself all the time and no one is really here to help me. And then at the same time, even though you might have done quite well, you're not even able to see it yourself. You just judge yourself. So you're only focusing on what is lacking instead of what you already achieved. So you already got yourself pretty far, that's the message. And we have the Queen of Cups, and in this situation I strongly feel that the sadness is stagnant energy. And this energy is stagnant because you didn't allow yourself to feel your emotions. So it's almost like you feel this sadness, but it's kind of a dull sadness, like it's just always there walking around with you like a shadow. And you're too afraid of facing it. So it has so much power over you that I even get this image that you smile to the world, but when you come home, you feel extremely sad. You feel down, you feel, what am I even doing with my life? But you're not alchemizing these emotions because you're too afraid of finding out what is this shadow? Why am I judging myself? And the true key to your overall abundance in general, because we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is a woman who has really become self-sufficient on the earth plane, but she did it with such a nice feminine energy where she's very self-sufficient, very self-loving, and she's very much aligned with her heart energy and nature. What is going on at the moment? We have the Five of Wands. There's so many sides within you that is kind of, they are fighting each other. It has also two sides to it. It's a very interesting number because five holds the potential of a huge shift on all levels of your life. And at the same time, 5 can become very toxic because it's not in alignment. It's kind of out of whack. It's like in the middle between the 4 walls and the 6 moving on. And it's also connected to the fire energy. So there's some anger. Yeah, I see this now. This is so interesting because comes so clearly to me right now that this sadness is truly connected to an anger within your system that you never expressed. So you kind of took this anger and you turned it into your own system, and the best way that you can suppress this anger is to hide it with sadness, because that's what happens. And it's really interesting because when we look at Chinese medicine, they always say that there are certain emotions connected to our organs. And when we have the anger, it's connected to our liver. So we can have like this liver stagnation where the blood doesn't get detoxed and the whole system just becomes more and more polluted. And what it affects as well when you have had a liver stagnation for a long time is that it can dissolve into the lungs where we have grief and sadness. And I feel that's what happened, that this anger for you guys has been repressed for such a long time that you cannot even recognize that it's sadness, that it's not sadness but it's anger. And what we have here with the star card in this tarot is number 17, and something I noticed a lot that I'm very fascinated about is the fact that the star is your soul's calling, it's your soul's true purpose. And you cannot get to your soul's true purpose if you judge yourself constantly and if you have emotions in the way of you really expressing who you truly are. But something I notice is that there's a lot of artists, a lot of musicians that are so drawn to the number 17. So there's a lot of songs called something with 17, when I was only 17, or 17 going under. There's a lot of songs connected to that, and I feel that's because the 17 number wise is also connected to the star tarot, which is the highest calling of your soul. It's like this mystical, we can, in numerology you would say, but that's 7 plus 1 and that's 8. But when it comes to the major arcana here, we really have to look at the number 17. And the number 17 for me is your true soul expression. So if you are a creative person, and if you're someone who hasn't been creating for quite a while, that can also have caused a lot of sadness as well, especially because you have a tendency to take the anger that you feel and push it inside of your system, and that is blocking your creative flow as well. So I just want to clarify a few things and see if there are any other channeled messages for you, group number 1. So what I just want to say to you is that don't go into total despair, because this is something you can totally alchemize. And we're going to dive into now how you're going to do it. So what kind of actions would be good for group number 1 to take? Spirit, can we have some guidance about the kind of actions? Okay, that's a lot. So I'm just gonna shuffle yet again and see, but I do see the Tower here. So that might just be the message, but that was too much for one round. So when the cards is doing like this, it's always an anger expression. It's always telling me that we just hit it when I talked about anger instead of sadness. So Spirit, please, what kind of actions? Alright. That's really interesting. Very powerful. So we have one more 5 coming out here, and this time it's like the 5 of Swords. So again, the number 5 is very, you know, like originally this card is kind of you are fighting because you want to win, is your ego. It's like you're just fighting for the fight because everyone on the battlefield, they are like over, they cannot take it anymore, and you're just like still super stubborn, and like you don't want to put down your swords, you just want to take the swords from the other ones who already gave up. So this is a very toxic energy where you can really get stuck in your head, because the swords energy is also the mental plane. So the actions you're being asked to take is that you need to stop the fighting just for the sake of the fight. And the fight is your mental fight. It's like you've become so used to think in a certain way that when you don't think this way anymore, it's almost like you don't feel like yourself, if that makes sense. So we have the Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles energy. So what you need to do to snap out of this mental plane of just fighting for the sake of the fight, you need to ground yourself. You need to become really real about, and maybe this is something you don't like to hear, but let's say you have sadness and that is hiding your anger. So who are you angry with? If it's not yourself, and you shouldn't do it in a way where you judge yourself. It's more like, okay, I'm just gonna get curious here. Because what anger sometimes represent is that someone were pushing your boundaries and not respecting you. But because you were not able to set boundaries at the time, you just felt anger after and you didn't know why. And I feel like this way of thinking has caused you to become your own worst enemy, because you couldn't, instead of saying, okay, maybe once I didn't know my worth and I couldn't put or set my boundaries in the right way, it sort of became your own mental fight. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you wake up one morning and you feel sadness and you're like, oh my God, I have to go to this work again, I have to see these persons again, and I'm just such a failure in life and I'll never get out of this. Ask yourself what got you there in the first place. and do it in a way where you're just staying curious and not judging yourself. In that way, by staying curious and non-judgmental towards yourself, you will find the key to your success. That's 100% given. So just to sum this up is that the reason also why you feel all of this is that your soul is calling you to grow. It wants growth for you. It wants you to move towards your true potential in this life and your true growth and happiness in alignment with your leading, guiding star, which is your soul's true path. And that is not able to you just don't have the capacity right now, energy-wise, to manifest this as long as you stay in this mental clutter and fight with yourself. So get really real about, okay, my sadness might have to do with anger, and this anger might have been manifested in the first place because I didn't have firm or healthy boundaries. And now I created a pattern for myself that I feel I cannot snap out of, but you are able to snap out of it. The way you're gonna do it is to focus on what you truly want to have, ground yourself, and grounding yourself, I mean, meditate, stay as much outside as possible, take a walk in nature, tune into your heart, and just try and ask questions like, if I didn't have these restrictions, or if I didn't feel this sadness, what would I be doing? And just stay curious. So I do want to pull one final message for you to see what's in the nearest future. So one final message for group number 1, please. Oh, we have someone that already. That's so interesting. We have loss, grief, sadness, resurrection. So this is basically just confirming that the emotions that you have in your system is this sadness that we first tap into, but the sadness has to do with the loss of yourself, of true healthy boundaries. It's kind of you lost yourself somewhere and you were not able to pick yourself up at the moment because you had too much mental clutter, and this is truly what your sadness is about. So what you need to do again is to find the pieces of yourself that you lost, that you feel this grief and sadness about, and really stay curious in what would I do today? Not what you did a year ago or 3 months ago or even yesterday, but what would I do today knowing that I'm allowed to be here and fully express myself as I am. And one final message that's really strong for you as well is that who would I be without this sadness? Who would I be without this anger? And just try to write it down in your journal, because I promise you, as soon as you look at this emotion and you're not afraid of feeling it, it will dissolve, it will alchemize, and you will have a lot of growth on the other side. So that was the message for you, number 1, and I send you so much love. I know it's difficult to feel this level of sadness, but it is totally possible to alchemize it into growth. So from my heart to your heart, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome, group number 2. For those of you who got drawn to the depression or who might feel depressed right now, this is the message for you. And if you didn't listen to the introduction, I just want to say that I felt a strong call to help you alchemize these very difficult emotions and states in your system in order for you to become a better version of yourself by tapping into your higher self and the knowledge that is in the higher self. And the higher self basically is just a part of you that is never conflicted. It's the part that is connected to your soul, and it always is pure, and it just knows because it doesn't hold the restrictions of an ego. And it's interesting because the message that already is flowing to me about this group, about you guys, is that this depression might have lasted a long time. It's like it has almost turned into a personality of yours, that I'm just this way, maybe I'm just depressed. Sometimes I feel okay, but then I come back to being depressed, and yeah, that's just my life. But when I did this and I asked for what's on the other side of the depression, I just want to show you this potential. Because the first message that came to me when tuning into this energy of depression is that what you are truly sad about, or you feel depressed, is, think about just the word depression. It's like it presses something down. It really has this very claustrophobic hold on you as a person, and it has this grab in your soul and your spirit for you not expanding. So what you want to do is that, first of all, I want you to know that you have huge potential, because you would not feel depressed if you didn't know in the core of your being that you are here for a reason, you're here for a higher purpose. And it might even be that you feel depressed because you're not living that purpose, and you know that you have potential, but you just don't at the moment have either the energy or the inspiration to step into the potential that is waiting for you. So yeah, let's pull some cards and see what messages come through to you. And first of all, I just want you to know that you are perfect as you are. You shouldn't be ashamed, you shouldn't feel any bad about being depressed. It's just that if you get drawn to this reading, it's because you know that it's time for you to do something else. It's time for you to move into your potential. Yeah, already too. This is so interesting. So for the second time, in reading number 1, the star also came out. So what Spirit is telling to all of you here is that number 17, the star in the major arcana of the tarot, is your soul's true purpose, your soul's calling. It's there for you. We have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is such a calm, yet very awake and aware archetype. She's like, she's someone who became self-sufficient and grounded. But what I always found really interesting about this card is that we have the fire energy, we have the passion, and then yet we have also this very, we have the grounding as well, but we also have this very mystical imprint, because she's holding a sunflower. And if we look at the sunflower, it's actually one of the best examples of sacred geometry and connection to the divine, because this is a symbol of your morning star, your guiding, your soul star, and she's holding it because she has the wisdom. She has fulfilled her life's purpose by becoming self-sufficient and calm, and she also has the black cat, so she has the part of her that is also stays mystical. And that's the energy you need to step into, is the energy of knowing that Even though you feel depressed at the moment, there's a way out of it. And the way out, I feel, is to find your fire energy, your passion, which is probably the most difficult thing to do when you feel depressed, because then you're just not able to have any fire in your system, right? So Spirit, please, for group number 2. What messages are there for group number 2? Yeah, we just got it confirmed. So we have this 9 of Swords, which is anxiety as well, and it's nightmares coming into fruition. But the reason why they become reality is that you see them in your mind's eyes first, and then when doing that for a certain amount of time, it becomes your reality, and you think that there's no way out of it, but there definitely is a way out of it. And we see it here with the 6 of Swords, that someone who, like, the soul part of you already decided, I don't want to feel like this anymore. That's also why you get drawn to this reading. I don't want to feel depressed anymore. I just can't take it. And you might even have had questions like, is this really all to life? And the answer to that question is no, it's not all there is. It's just your depression is the part of you, the shadow side of you, that very subconsciously hold yourself away from all of your true potential. But on a soul level, Spirit wants you to know that you're already moving away from it. So this is taking action, doing something differently, and we have the air energy from the swords as well. So the first step you need to take out of the depression is to change the way that you think. This is not the only thing, because thinking is only the first part. But, however, that's where you are right now. And the way that you can do this is to start writing a journal. And you want to have 2 sides of your journal. So on one side, you write down everything that you feel at the moment, just super random. And on the other side, you get more calm and structured. And what you just try to do is that you ask yourself, if I didn't feel this depression, what would I do? And see what comes through to you. And this is so beautiful, and you guys show such high levels of awareness. It's like you might even have been told your entire life that you're too sensitive, you'll always just be like this, and why are you so sad, why do you react like this? But that's because you're a true mystic. And that's, I really feel that you guys are you have such a big heart. And this is also kind of heavy, because there's really a lot of potential in your system that you have never expressed in your life. And what I want you to know is that it's never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or 15 or 70 years old. It doesn't matter, because as long as you have just 1 minute more of your life left, let's say, or 1 day or 10 days, you can change now. You can change it now and do something differently, I promise you. And we have the High Priestess, and the High Priestess, she's holding the Torah, which is the book of the divine and all of the knowledge of the divine. So in order for you to feel better, it's very important to incorporate some sort of spiritual practice in your everyday life. And a good way to start this is by doing meditations, or mindfulness. So first thing in the morning, something I found is a really good start when you are struggling a lot, is that you find guided meditations, and then later on you can guide yourself, but find a morning guided meditation to set up your day and start to become more aligned with your spirit, with the divine. And you might even have been someone who asked yourself several times, why am I here? and you felt like you didn't get an answer. But the answer is that spirit will only make you feel depressed because it knows that you have so much potential. And now it's up to you to fulfill this potential. That's really interesting. And I wouldn't say, the energies that I get for you is that now is the time. It's not just judgmental, but it's also like a little bit like strict, like, okay, you had this enough. Please do something because we believe in you. And by we, I mean your spirit guides, your universe around you, whatever you like to call it, even just who you are on the inside and who you know you are on the inside. And I get this voice telling me that you should ask yourself, what did I like to do as a child? What did I like to do as a child that later on I was told that, it's childish, or you shouldn't do this, or you cannot earn money by doing this. You need to go to school and forget your creative potential. It could be something like this. I feel there might have been a very authoritative person in your life, and you were trying to fit in there, and the only thing that came out of it was, this is beautiful. It was you becoming more depressed, basically, because you don't know how to express your potential. You haven't yet found your source. And it could be anything. It could be that you are a brilliant writer or poet. It could be that you're just really good at fixing cars, or you're a great dancer or singer. It could be that you're really good with numbers and you should be a consultant teaching others how to deal with numbers. It can be so many ways in which you didn't live your potential. And I almost get this happiness, this feeling of happiness, and it got confirmed here that you are, and I get really excited now because you are on this verge of a breakthrough. You have really everything. You have been depressed way long enough. It's way overdue. And what Spirit wants you to know is that you can get out of it, and it will happen really quickly. And on the other side, there will be the Four of Wands energy, building your true foundation in life, whether it's financial or it's relationships, or just for you guys, I feel it's more on an inner level, that you build the foundation on who do I want to be as a person. And you're such a mixed group of people. It's really beautiful, with a lot of potential, but at the moment you're not living it. So anything else for group number 2, please? And I do want to emphasize for you right now that thinks that this is, bullshit. I cannot get out of my depression. I've always been like this. Spirit wants you to know that as long as you identify as being your depression, you are the one who is holding yourself down. Because what this is like, you had a soul contract. And in that soul contract, it was written that through struggle, through depression, you will create the light for yourself and for other people. This is so beautiful. There might even be some of you out there who would be excellent counselors. Because I feel a lot of people need to talk to someone like you, like who has already been through depression and hardship and can convey and, oh wow, this, now we're talking, yeah. 3 of Pentacles, this will really be the foundation for you guys, that when you get to the level where you can actively put behind you the depression, that's where your gold lies. That's where you really build the foundation of your new life. and will be a very successful one, because then you are also serving other people and helping them to, just helping them to understand that they are not alone. Because when you feel alone right now in your depression and you feel like a failure, wouldn't you want someone to speak or counsel you or guide you and show them that you are not alone and you have the potential to step out in your true power and do something great, great, great with your life? This is so beautiful. I'm just staying silent for a while to see if there's anything else Spirit wants to tell you. It's basically it. It's like, so you have suffered enough, you have been depressed long enough. Now it's time to dive into your passion. So one last message for group number 2, please. I see a child smiling, so this might be your inner child that you need to tap into. It's like, find that joy again that you had like before all of the heaviness and the burdens overran you. Think about what you really, really like to do as a child. Yeah, and then I just want to show you this last message. The Zen garden in a sanctuary. So imagine right now that you have a garden that is depressed. So that means that nothing is really growing there. And when it's growing, like a very angry gardener comes and just cut it all down. Or it's just like growing a little bit and then it's like, whew. Your new garden starts within. And that is you planting new seeds by doing meditation in the morning and writing in your journal first what everything just on your mind, but also the question side where, who would I be without this depression? Because ironically enough is that when we have felt bad for a longer period of our life, or if we keep coming back to feeling depressed, it has become an identity. And this identity on a very subconscious level is an identity that you're kind of afraid of stepping out of, because the question is, who am I without this identity? There's always a part of us, no matter how toxic emotions we have in our system, that is benefiting from having these emotions. So it could be that you only get seen when you are depressed, you only get help when you're depressed, you only get, like someone shows you love when you feel depressed. And you're afraid that if you're just happy and joyful and creating your dream life, who would support you then? And that's really interesting. That's so deep in the human psyche. So don't blame yourself if you find that this depression served a role in your life for you to get love or to be seen by other people. And trust that when you truly snap out of this depression and feel joyful and creative and visionary, you will attract the right people who will show you love just because you are here, not because you need to prove anything. So step into your true power and alignment. Start a small spiritual practice. Get out in nature. Ground yourself. Start a journal. And trust that you are a very divine being with a higher call who will be guided when you take the time to listen. And when you are on the other side, make the promise to yourself that you will be of service for other people who went through the same thing. Because if you can do it, they can do it. And the world needs you to get out of your depression and into your potential so that you can make other people smile. just as much as you need to smile right now. Wow, that's the message for you, group number 2. From my heart to your heart, I wish you all the best. Bye. Hello, group number 3. For those of you who feel anxiety or felt drawn by the word anxiety, this message is for you. And if you didn't listen to the introduction, I just want to share shortly with you that I'm tapping into the conscious awareness of your higher self, of my higher self, and the messages that are there for you. And we are doing this today in order to alchemize the stagnant energy and emotions in your system that might be causing you to feel anxious or is holding you back in this anxiety feeling where, you know, like when you feel anxiety, you cannot really move forward. And I was feeling into this emotion of what's going on for the people who have this anxiety and what happens when we alchemize that emotion into something positive, into your higher awareness, your higher self, and your soul's potential. And this very strong message came out of power. We have the alchemist symbol here of fire. So immediately I just felt this strong fire energy from you that, you know, anxiety is like stagnant. It's like this energy just doing like this. There's like a restlessness, and there's like, anxiety is moving around itself in circles, and it's spinning itself around in this circle, and the circle just becomes, you know, more and more and more and more narrow. So that is the emotions that you might be dealing with right now. If you don't suffer from direct anxiety or anxiety attacks, this can be a subconscious pattern for you, that on a subconscious level, even though you might feel fine on the outside, is that there's an anxious shadow that is keeping you from stepping into your true power and to set your firm boundaries and knowing your worth. So that was just the introduction for you guys. So let's leave it with this power and see what messages comes through to you. There's like this very judging tone in your systems, like you are very hard on yourself, like extremely hard on yourself. Yeah, immediately. Wow, this is interesting. Whew. Such beautiful message. Wow. Okay, I see a storyline here, but I'm just gonna clarify a bit by some more cards. So please, Spirit, what is this story about? What is it that group number 3 needs to know right now in order to alchemize these emotions and hardships and the anxiety? Ooh, wow. Okay, that's a lot of cards, but I do feel called to take them because this is, oof, I get so excited because this is, oh wow, okay. There might be a few of you right there out there. I cannot even speak because I get so excited about this storyline. So right away I just have to tell you that there's two storylines running for you right now, and the anxiety causes you to be tapped into this lower frequency where the stuff is not really working out for you. And the reason why you have this anxiety is due to the moon energy, like the shadow side, the illusions, the disillusionment, and this very Scorpio energy of emotions and staying in the dark and having a hard shell. You might even be someone who, when it comes to love in all areas, both to yourself and to a romantic partner, that you're not showing your true emotions. So the storyline you're in right now, and the storyline that your higher self wants to convey to you, is that right now you're going through a dark night of the soul. So when you feel anxious and anxiety, it's because the anxiety holds the power to alchemize you into the next level of your life. But you can also stay in the shadow energy and stay anxious like forever and have like an anxious personality and identify yourself with this. So you have been resting. We have the Four of Swords, and this is a knight who's taking a nap and a rest, and in the window we see like a mother and a child, and he's like holding his hands like this, so he's laid back and he's contemplating. And these two cards together is that you have been resting for a very long time in your shadow energy without moving forward. It's like this rest almost became like a poison where you're not able to get up from the bed anymore. For some of you, you went through heartbreak some time ago, and you might be in this situation where you are not letting new people into your life because you're very anxious that it's going to happen to you again. And for others of you, because this is a lot of energy, there's a lot of messages, and you're like a very, let me say like this, the group of you who chose this pile number 3, there's a lot of messages that has to do with all levels of life. So what this also means is that your anxiety is affecting all areas on your life, whether it's finances or career, it's like love relationships in general, materialistic stuff, just everything. Even the connection to your power and your soul. And there was a time for you in this anxiety period where you are still. Immediately I get this, I want to throw up, because it's almost like it's too much for you. Where you have seen opportunities just slide right through you, and you just, maybe you even realized after that your anxiety, let me give you an example of what this anxiety has done to your system and what you can do to change it. So I get this message that you have become someone who is just looking at your life and time just stepping by. And every time someone offered you something, like an opportunity or love or companionship or whatever, you just didn't take it because a part of you were not awake and able to take it in, because you stay in the shadow energy of your anxiety. And the anxiety is something that doesn't allow you to become abundant, because as long as you have anxiety, you're just becoming, your world is becoming more and more narrow, and it's almost like it's down to a point now where parts of you are even thinking, is it really worth it? Do I need to feel like this always? And why does it seem like everyone else has figured it out? And I'm gonna promise you, everyone else hasn't figured it out. It's just a matter of Are you able to tap into the higher self or the lower self? And as long as you cannot alchemize the shadow energies, you cannot receive abundance. That's what the cards want you to know. And up here we have a story of you, your higher self, that wants 10 of Cups energy, like abundance, happiness, family life. We have the Lovers, we have your true companionship. And right away when I saw these, that's what I got the feeling that some of you guys, and for those of you that doesn't resonate with this, just close your ears now, but you have had issues with your finding your true soulmate, or whatever you want to call it, and you have been going through quite a lot of heartbreak and misery and playing out shadow energies in relationships before, and then it came to a part where you took a rest and you just never woke up from it. And that is keeping you from your highest alignment with the Lovers, your true soulmate. The Ace of Cups is always like, you know, this yes energy, this abundant energy, and the Knight of Swords who just goes out and conquer what he wants to have. And he knows he's not perfect and he needs to learn something, but he has his horse, and the horse is always in alignment with spirit, so he's like really going out there in the world. So your anxiety has become your excuse, and I'm gonna just say it as it is, and it might sound harsh, and forgive me if it's a harsh message for you, but your anxiety has become your pillow and your safe zone for saying no to the world. Let me give you the example of if you're being invited out with friends and they want you to have a good time and you just say no and you stay home and you have an anxiety attack, but you say that, oh, how good it was that I didn't go out with my friends, because then I would have had this anxiety attack in the middle of people and that would be just so embarrassing. That's the energy I get from you, but the truth is that maybe you didn't have the anxiety attack if you got out with friends and had a good time and started to express yourself. And this might be hard to digest, but it's almost like it has become a sleeping pillow. Like you rested too long in this anxiety and it has become your identity, but the anxiety is never you. It's not your identity. You're so much more than this, and your true love and abundance, maybe even your soul's mate, is waiting for you to wake up and get out of the shadow energies and be able to receive abundance. You see that there's so many people who really want to help you in your life. You have a lot of, I feel that you have a lot of support. Either it's gonna be just spiritual support, or it's gonna be actually physical friends, family around you who are concerned about you and want you to thrive. So that's I'm gonna bring in the herbal tarot deck as well, because I feel that there might be a little bit more to this when it comes to the balance of your body. So Spirit, any advice for any health advice for those who suffer from anxiety, whether it be conscious or subconscious, please, Spirit. Seven of Swords. Anything else? Oh, wow. Alright, so immediately, in order for you to get in alignment, it's really as simple as that you change your eating habits. And if you're someone who's already eating, you know, you would define yourself as someone who eats healthy, like I'm a vegan, or I only juice or eat raw stuff, you might consider to change your diet, because even if it's healthy, or is defined as healthy, the only thing that you can know for sure that is good for you is when your body is thriving and in balance. So a very simple thing to begin with is that you have in order to help your body to calm down and step into its power, you need a lot of stability when it comes to your eating habits. So there are like two sides of anxiety that can manifest when you eat, is that either you overeat to comfort yourself, or you don't eat at all because you don't feel like it. And that's what the cards are saying here with the Seven of Swords, that it's calling for balance and for you to, there's a lot of possibilities for higher alignment. And the way that you need to do this is it's interesting because this is like a herb that is calming your system, but it's also like the image that I get is that it's grounding you. And the reason why I get a little bit silent right now is that for some of you, your eating habits are actually the habits that is giving you anxiety. Because whatever you eat will manifest in your body. And it's said that, you know, most of our immune system is actually in our intestines, in our bacteria is living in the intestines. And when they are, you know, if you eat too much sugar, or you starve yourself, or you eat like fat too much, or processed food, that can manifest. A lot of people who think that they suffer from anxiety, it's actually not anxiety. It's like lack of healthy, how can I describe this? It's lack of healthy eating habits that then influence your hormonal system and your brain to trick you into this feeling of anxiety. And the best way that I can explain is that we have all tried to eat too much sugar, and what we call this sugar rush, we start to, you know, shiver like this. And what happens also energetically with anxiety is that we get this feeling of restlessness and shivers and unease. So actually, for what some of you guys, is like you need to change your eating habits so that you can become more in alignment. And for those of you who's not eating, because I know there are some of you who are also not eating when you feel anxious, is that you need to start to even if it's just like green juices or herb teas, you need to get the right nutrients into your body so that it can support you in your journey towards your power. Because the food you eat is also your fuel to your powerhouse. So that's a quite interesting. You're the first group that get this message about diet. So I think that's quite important. I want to just, because there was a lot of messages in this, so I just want to see if there's any last messages so that you can have time to take it all in a bit, because it was a lot. And you're at a pivotal moment in your life. You need to find your power again and just wake up. And this is said in the kindest way possible. It's not like I'm judging you because you need to wake up. No, not at all. It's like, please, beautiful soul, wake up and see the world how it truly is, because there's so much magic stuff waiting for you. Truly, just trust me. Last message for group number 3, please. This is so beautiful. I love it so much. The message: positive news, positive outcomes. So when you learn to align yourself and have a healthy practice and healthy eating patterns, and find a way to deal with your shadow sides, there will be a positive outcome for sure, and it's waiting for you. And we have 28, so numerologic wise it will be 10, and it will be a new beginning for you. It adds up to 1. New beginnings. And one last time, I just want to show you that you are gonna go from anxiety to total power. You're gonna empower yourself so much, and you're gonna tap into this highest timeline of beautiful love relationships, abundance, happiness, and just go after what you truly want and stop hiding behind your anxiety. Take some risks in your life. Make sure that your eating habits are sustainable and good for your system. And do check out if you eat too much sugar and sugar stuff and processed food. This might even be the thing that is causing you anxiety in the first place. So remember to take this in after this reading, and remember that you can take a step, the first step today, that will change you from being the victim of your anxiety to gain and empower yourself into victory, true victory and abundance. So this was the message for you, group number 3. I hope you enjoyed it and resonated with you. And from my heart to your heart, I'm sending you so much power and love and magic. Thank you so much.